Hey there, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Paint Party Livestream. I am so glad to be with you in studio this beautiful Monday evening. Wherever you are in the world, I welcome you to my studio. It's a little dark here in the mountains of Western South Dakota. The time changes have affected everything and it gets dark so early, but I am under the big lights this evening, so it is all good here. It has been beautiful this fall, but we are headed to pretty cold weather starting tomorrow. There's going to be a cold snap, but we have had a good fall. And I guess it's appropriate that the week of the American Thanksgiving holiday, we get some more winter weather. Because right after that, then you kind of head into the frenetic holiday season, or the stretch of all the holiday events. So if you've been here before, you know how this live stream works. Wherever you're watching, you can participate in the live stream via the comments. So feel free to ask questions, make comments, or suggestions as we go through the evening. This is my Learn to Paint journey. I started learning to paint or teaching myself to paint about 4 years ago in the middle of the pandemic. And then last year, I think, or 2 years ago, I started I switched over from acrylic paints to oil paints. So I have been developing my skill with oils and learning to manipulate that medium better. I am a realist painter. I paint realism, but I am striving to learn how to represent light and the light and shadow in a particular scene. That's kind of what I'm really interested in. Tonight we are going to be working on another image from some that I took at a threshing bee that was here in our area this summer. We're taking a little bit of a break from the master copies. I was doing some copies of some other paintings. Last couple of weeks we worked on this one. I did another session with this painting this week. This is my copy and this is the original. It's still not perfect. There are some real, in the original, there are some real value subtleties, particular in these shadow areas, and that's something that I want to work better to represent, because I think that's what gives something its realism as far as the light is. What is the subtlety in the shadows? Where do you see reflected light and how is that presented? And so I want to continue to work on these topics, but we are going to take a break from that. Last week, we worked on this painting and I did one more session with this just to do some more detail work in the corn and the field beyond, as well as the tractor. So it was a little more identifiable as the scene, but I'm really pleased with how this little snapshot turned out. So we are going to work on another scene from that. All right. Welcome, welcome. I'm going to switch the cameras and set this up so you can see what I'm painting on. We're going to do a small sketch tonight, a small painting on, I think it's 5x7. So it's probably going to be a quick little painting, but we will do our best. Let's jump in. Let me come over here to this camera while I set this up. I hope everybody's having a good week. Those of you just joining, welcome, welcome. Again, you can participate via the comments. Feel free to say hello in the comments. Whoops, my camera is dropping. In the comments wherever you are watching. I always enjoy hanging out with you here in the studio. All right, let's see. Okay, I think we are good. We will get this set up. Let me turn on, I moved this out of the way. Let me get this set up so you can see my palette. Welcome, welcome everybody. So glad to have you. Glad to have you in the live stream. Please feel free to say hello. I get most of the comments that come through my software. So I hope as you, if you comment it pops through. Usually they do. Every once in a while, I'll go back and see comments, particularly on Facebook, that don't come through. But okay, we need to add this here so you can see my palette and what I'm mixing here in front of you. And then this is the painting that we will be doing a quick painting of. This, maybe I can put it there. This little wagon, this was, again, a threshing bee, which is basically an opportunity for people to see some of the old equipment that is used. And they did show us how the wheat was, how they threshed, if that's the word, threshed the wheat. I'm not a farm boy, so I apologize if that is not the correct term, but we got to see how that works with the machinery. And they had this hay sitting here on this trailer, and I just thought it was such a unique kind of subject. Let's see. Yeah. I'm just looking. Yeah, we'll do a few from this. I think we'll do a few paintings from this experience. All right, let me get you set up. Then here you should be able to see, again, this is a 5x7-inch canvas panel. I'm going to put on some gloves and then we will jump right in. How's everybody's week? Thank you for joining me, those of you who are here. I hope this is a little bit of a relaxing start to your week and you can just maybe have a snack or drink and relax as you hang out with me here this evening. All right, let's do that. And let's kind of, you can see on the reference photo, I have adjusted it so the picture that I took, there was about a third of the sky that was not there. And so I've extended the sky. This isn't the best composition because the horizon line is kind of right in the middle of the canvas. However, I do think that if we add, I did kind of add some rough cloud structures in. I think if we add the clouds and that tree on the, I simplified it. And if we add a tree or a row of trees up on the horizon line, I think then we have something really that will work for us. So we're just gonna see if we can do that. That will make sense. Okay, I'm gonna adjust my camera here. Give me just a minute. That way it's more comfortable for me to sit here and I'm hopefully not bumping the camera constantly. All right. We'll see. All right. Let's dive in. I think what I want to do first is I think that I am going to kind of draw in the shadow under the, if I can, draw in the shadow under the wagon here. I'm just mixing some blue, brown, and green. So it's got a shadow, but kind of tinted green. That works. All right. there was an error loading comments. Maybe you guys are commenting and I am not getting them. What? How do I'm sorry if y'all are commenting. My software is telling me that I have an error loading comments. So I can't obviously restart it in the middle of the live stream. So I am really sorry if I am unable to get comments this live stream. That's frustrating. How do we fix it? Just a second. Let me do a quick, maybe I'll try to do Google search and see if there's a quick answer, because I enjoy interacting with y'all. If y'all are yelling at your device and I seem to be ignoring you, that is not my intent. Error. Okay, error loading comments. Is somebody on, it says that could be a Facebook thing. Is somebody on YouTube watching? If you could give me a message or, type a comment, I would appreciate it. I'm going to go to Facebook and see if my let me see if my it says I'm live. Okay. Now, let's see what it's public. Okay, it is public, so I don't know. Sorry if I'm not getting your comments. You know what I can do while I'm in here? I can go into, let me put a comment in there. I can go into, and I can turn off my voice so I don't hear this. Test comment. Let me see if it shows up. Test comment, it posted. Ah, I do see it. Okay, good deal. Well, I am able to at least get Facebook comments. That's good. I don't know if somebody's on YouTube and oh, I just dumped a whole bunch of stuff over. That's all right. Okay, we are off and running. Didn't mean to sidetrack the whole thing, and I apologize for that. But those of you who are here hanging out, I really appreciate you. And like I said, you should be able to make comments or ask questions as we go through the evening. Okay, we are going to see if we can, and I'm going to try to eyeball this, which is probably one of the worst, not the worst, but challenging Went in a rough kind of greenish brown. Spot under the underneath the, whoops, that wasn't supposed to be there. Underneath the wagon. And this canvas obviously was not tinted at all. So it's going to be, or it was not toned. So we're going right in with color. So we'll see. This will give us our tonal kind of key though. And hopefully the basic shape of our shadow. Okay. This is obviously a little mistake, but that's all right. Let us see. Now we have this green. What do we need next? I think we need to put in the horizon line and sky. So that's my thought. Let me see if we can do a horizon, and we're going to do this in a very kind of muted, creamy hay color. Okay. We want this about halfway. So let's call it there. Let's call it there. And we're just going to put in, I'm just blocking in the color. That makes sense. So we'll block in this color. Let me put this up here so I can kind of see the, we'll probably need some more of that color. Everyone's quiet tonight. That is just fine. You all can be quiet. You don't have to comment. You do not need to participate, but I sure love it when you do. All right, let's keep building this. We'll bring it in, and I'm gonna just try to cover as much of this because this panel is relatively rough, and so the white will show through. So we'll just keep working little by little. As much as we can around there. We'll dab in the paint. Not too worried about a little bit of that green sneaking in here because we want some variations in the grass. If it's all this bright kind of yellowish color, it's not going to look very accurate, right? So eventually we'll want variations of browns and yellows and grays and greens and whatever in this area. I'm trying to see how quickly we can get this little painting done. Okay, I'm going to set that back down in the little trough there. For this, I'm literally just mixing yellow ochre and a little bit of white to create this. And what I'm really focused on right now is seeing if I can create like draw around the wagon so that we roughly, when we get done, have the shape of the wagon there. Okay. Okay. On the other side, let me kind of try to draw, come in. I think we'll come in there. Might have brought this too far up. But we need to kind of I'm not going to put that other shadow we see behind there's some sort of machinery behind this trailer, and I'm eliminating that. So that shadow that's out here, I'm not going to worry about. But this comes in, and then there's kind of and it goes like that, sort of, I think. And then this will be kind of the hay. Now, let's continue with one more brush we need, which is the sky color. Now we want to I want to get kind of a base color. So it's kind of my go-to sky. It's mostly what's that color that I use? Cobalt blue. It is cerulean, right? Cerulean blue. Let's see. Yeah, cerulean blue with a little bit of the what's that? Burnham or why can't I think of what this blue is? Ultramarine. So we have just a slightly red tint or purplish tint. And this is the darkest the sky will be. So we're gonna come in here, across the front of this or the top of this. And what I'm hoping one reason I think this painting will work is because you have the yellow and the blue, which are complementaries. So we'll do that. And I'm just kind of painting the top of this just to kind of give us some. I'm also gonna try to cut in some clouds here. That's my goal. I think right here is where the top of the hay needs to be. Okay, hopefully you start to see what my brain is doing, and hopefully my brain is doing something that is gonna work. We will see, won't we? Oh, that's too dark. There we go. That's too light probably, but that's okay. We'll give it some variety right in here. Okay, this brush is not working for what I want to do. So I need to get a more usable brush. Let us do this. There we go. I just need something that's a little more firm. And we'll put, now what I'm gonna do is come in with a little bit of this yellow. We're gonna lighten it up a little bit because we need a little bit of a, as we get down here to the horizon line, we need it more green. Greenish yellow into the blue. We'll just kind of probably need a little more light, a little lighter. And the same over here. We want kind of a, like we did last week. In skies, you always want kind of a gradient of kind of this greenish diffused blue up to the more cerulean. And what that communicates is that there is some atmosphere at the horizon line that we're looking through that's diffusing the blue. There we go. This line there is really distracting, isn't it? Especially as we go up into the cloud line there. We want some of this light that's reflected upwards, because then our clouds will fuse in a little better. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's once we do that, then we got to bring some of the blue back down because it's far too yellow and it's like screaming at us. So we have to kind of just mix until we get a really pleasing gradient that we like. Hey there, Bob G. This is a trailer of hay that was at the threshing bee outside Sturgis this summer. And I just thought it looked really peaceful and cool sitting there. And I thought, oh, that might make a nice little painting. So that's what we're trying to, that's what we're working towards today. Just this little rack of hay sitting there waiting to be threshed, if that's the word. And we're kind of adjusting. Oh, you know what I left out up here, though, was the tree. I'm going to have to come back, or the line of trees. I'm going to have to put those maybe in another sitting. We'll bring some blue up in here. There we go. All right. We have the rough stuff. Okay. Now I'm going to go back to this hay color that we had earlier. I'm going to put a little yellow into that. I'm going to diffuse it with white, but I'm also going to put a little brown into it. So we have a little bit of brownish color. And then what I'm going to, on that, I'm going to try to do some this may need to be darker, but it kind of gives us some idea. Okay. I think we'll have to bring this shadow up further, but my eyes are deceiving me, so I'm just gonna do this for now. Then do this. I'll kind of draw in some I saw one of those. Yeah, I will look at the rest of them. That is really, she got some great pictures. So great to have a photographer capturing it, right? What a memory. What a memory. Can't wait to chat more about the specifics, and so excited. That was what a neat evening. Okay, now we're going to take some blue, white, and brown and make kind of a grayish brown color that will be the color of our structure. And so we want it kind of to come out here, I think. It's almost not quite mid. Not quite mid canvas, but Okay. That's kind of, I just want to give myself some parameters. Then we can see what's off in our drawing. We are okay. Now this one will just okay. I got this in. I'm gonna put a rough sketch there. But just kind of putting the place of the wheels in. I think. I know these aren't the right colors, but that way we can go in and get a roughly. So our shadow definitely needs to come up into here. We're just adjusting this a little bit. Okay, I'm going to step back take a look, see what I think. I think for the most part it works. There's a little bit of something that's off here, a little bit, but I'm glad because I'm not seeing huge. This needs to, I think, lean a little more perspective-wise this way. Kind of that. Okay. There we go. Now I think I'm going to come back and lock in some of these things. So I want to take some brown, a little bit of blue with this. Okay, I think I want to start putting in like the shadow. Gonna be a few spots. Now we need a little darker. We want to start giving this some shape. And so that's why I'm doing this. We'll come back with a variety of colors. I know it looks really funky right now, but let's see if we can. Again, I'm just trying to capture where the main shadows are. Then we'll do what? Let's see if we can come back with kind of a yellow. Do a little red, yellow, red, brown. Very mid-tone. If we can get a variety. The key is, I think, variety of colors in here. Then we can start to really, it will look like hay. Then all we'll have to do at the end is just kind of put a few visible straw pieces, and that will be really, it will really read correctly. Let's see. Then we do, that red is there. Now we have that yellow again. To just be very careful, because on the blue edge here we can get some green if we're not careful. So I'll do another sitting with this where we come back and do detail, but we can get the feel of it. Definitely some want to make real clear where the sun is shining. What do y'all think? Is it sort of giving us a little bit of basic hay? Okay, now what I want to do is keep playing this game of, let's come back and do the gray. Now we want to do a little bit of like in between. Okay, this is the outside of the, so it needs to come over the top. Then this one as well. Now, come in with the light gray. Let's do right in here, we need light gray. The sun is very bright there. So that board, and we only see part of it because it's covered by the hay. This is the light gray as well. There we go. Now, let's do this. We can do very dark shadow color. Let us see. We can we'll come back and refine all of this underneath the underneath the one again. But problem is I'm using the other problem is I'm using a very big brush for this small of a canvas. And we're painting wet into wet, so it's only so much you can do. That's all right though. Little by little, we are getting there. I found a kind of technique that's working, so I'm continuing it. I'm just making with a really solid, strong brush, I'm making these kind of flicking motions, and that gives a little bit of feeling of straw. The illusion with the movement of the brush strokes gives that illusion, I think. If that makes sense. I'm just trying to create those, or reestablish maybe those areas of shadow. That doesn't work very well. Because then once it's dry, I can come back and do some more. But I think that starts to give us some of that shape and form, at least from my perspective. You start to see what's happening, don't you? We start to see the I quite enjoy though these little pastoral, almost not really pastoral scenes, but pastoral subjects. By pastoral, I mean farm based country kind of. I really kind of like it. Kind of like it. Just kind of putting in shapes and rough colors so that I can come back later and reestablish them as significant. Let's take this, and I am going to now reestablish this, if I can, this shadow value a little more. I'm trying to change the brush strokes because it picks up some of that dry brush work. But again, this is all it's grass, so we want that to read. Now what I want to do is, I think, go in to these areas and just see if we can put in some variation so it looks a little more three-dimensional. So I'm putting some, first I'm just taking some kind of brown in. Then we'll blend Thanks, Bob. Appreciate it. Yeah, little by little, you just kind of keep working some of this, like back and forth where it gives some. And then at the very end, you just kind of put in, when I do a second, I'll do a second sitting with this painting. And that's where I'll come in and put any of the detail work. And that's where you put like little bits of, you clean up your lines. And that really, I found with machinery or housing, things that are man-made and even not man-made, but like especially man-made, it's clear like if these lines are crooked or wrong, it stands out really severely. But if you kind of come back and clean up the lines, put some little tiny grass, the suggestion of little grass there. Whoops. It, that's the problem. Okay. We'll put those in somewhere. Just mess up this edge a little bit. The other thing I need to do is give a very light suggestion of a shadow right there. It's not the right color. Excuse me. Excuse me. Sorry. Coughing in your ears. Okay. This gives us a yep. I need to quit messing with this because it's too wet. But now I think I can go back and take some let's do a little bit of medium. We want to we'll just let a lot of the panels show through, but we'll bring it in here. We have these kind of just wispy clouds out here that are filling our prairie sky because it was a hot summer day. They just kind of are they almost disappear. But I want both of these leading to, kind of in the composition, I want the clouds leading our eye inward. And this shadow is this is pointing us in, this is pointing us in, and then we'll have the highest highlights here. We'll kind of probably fudge on that a little bit. But this way, get that feeling of the clouds are just kind of hanging out there, waiting to point us into the and there were actually, in the reference photo, there were clouds down here. So we'll just give the suggestion of that down here. When I come back, I may put just like some that's tough because we have the yellow that is wanting to blend. But yeah, we'll put like some white in here so that it's much more cloudy-ish down towards the horizon. It'll help us feel like it's way off in the distance. There. Because you kind of get this line there of there's something. We'll see. That actually works really well, doesn't it? Taking our There we go. That sky looks really good to me. At least the bones of it look really good. What do y'all think? I like it. I like it a lot. Okay, this is all wet. Eventually, I want to put like a few small trees up here just to give us a border pushing us back there. But I'm not going to do that while this is wet. I'm going to leave this, let it all dry, come back, clean it up. But we have the basic idea, don't we? I think so. I think we do. I think we do. So, yep, little by little. I mean, I could keep messing around with this all evening, but I think this is as good as we're going to get it right now while it's drying. But I think we have the main values in correctly generally. All right, I'm going to quit messing around for now. I am going to clean some of this up. And I'm going to give this little beauty a little bit to dry. Then I'll come back for a second take on her so that I can maybe add some detail, but I'm liking where it's going, and I think we just keep the brushwork loose because we want that vibrancy. What I want is the vibrancy of the hay, the vibrance of the hay, the movement of the hay. And then we'll do some more texture down here because this is now brighter than this, and I want this to be the focal point. So I want these highlights to be the focal point. So that's kind of what we'll work on. Dialing down this and dialing up this. Okay, let me bring y'all back here and I will say good night. Let me flip my camera around so that I can say a proper good night. All right. Thank you, everyone. Those of you who have joined me, here we have so far what we've done. I'm really happy with that. And yeah, we'll just come in, like I said, de-emphasize some of the background so that the foreground is really, the most detail is there. But I think this is going to be a really great, cute little piece. And I'm very pleased with how it went. Thank you for joining me. Next week, I'm trying to think if there's anything blocking my time. I think I will be here next week, November. Yes, I will be here December 1st. And then I will be out for a couple of weeks. And we'll see. I might get a live stream in December. Ooh, probably not. Maybe the 29th, one final one. But we'll get this one in this next week and maybe the 29th of December. But I'm going to be out of town for a couple of weeks. And then I'm house sitting for some friends. And so we will probably just hold off with the holidays and everything. So I want to say thank you for joining me. It's been a pleasure having you in the studio. I hope you have a great week. And we will look forward to seeing you next week here Monday night at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Until then, have a great evening and a great rest of your week.